Fabulous. All right. So per usual, we will be starting in a seated position. This can be down on the mat, sitting on a block or bolster, cushion, or even sitting in a chair. Our meditation will be about 3-4 minutes long. And then we'll do our seated stretches, and then we'll get into dynamic movement. So last week I offered the visualization of paddling as something to concentrate on during your meditation. That's sort of a visualization meditation that can be really nice, especially if you're someone that when we're kind of just sitting in silence, just trying to focus on the breath might be a little elusive, right? It might be like, I'm trying my best, but my mind is really going nuts. So it might be helpful to those of you that find that breath concentration a little uncomfortable, tedious. That being said, if you're up for a challenge, stay with the breath concentration, right? Because it will get easier as you practice. For the visualization, I like to imagine myself that first paddle when we first get in the boats and we're taking it out to the breakwater. So it's a time where we're quiet, we're feeling the water, you can hear the water, right? You can hear the paddles going through, you can hear the wind. So yeah, you might be a visual person and that might work well for you for the next few moments. Otherwise, we'll be focusing on the breath. Just taking some quiet time to settle in and arrive, helping the mind and body come together before we start moving. Close the eyes and settle in. And maybe all of us can prepare with a few deeper inhales and complete exhales, just a few cleansing breaths. And then beginning our meditation. Drawing in a deeper breath here. And releasing your focal point. Open the eyes. Well done, everyone. Let's interlace the fingers and reach the hands up over the head, creating a little roof over the head as we get really long through the trunk. And if you want a little sway, that's fine. You don't have to stay perfectly still. As you reach the palms towards the ceiling, Keeping the arms framing the ears. So if you reach up and your head falls forward, see if you can align the neck with the rest of your spine, a little press back of the face, and reach, 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 rib cage lifting away from the hips. Beautiful. Releasing the hands nice and slow all the way down. Good. Interlacing the fingers behind you now. If interlacing the fingers isn't available for any reason, just grip onto opposite wrist, anything that you have a grip on, so you can really open through the chest. So I'm extending my spine. Gaze is high, open through the chest, the collarbones, and the throat as we squeeze together the shoulder blades, reaching the fists down and back. And then find breath within this shape. Noticing how when the back body is closed, the breath moves to the front, creating space. Good. Release the grip. Hands come around to the front. We're going to crisscross the hands so the thumbs are facing down, pinkies are up. Inhale here, and as you exhale, round the spine, chin to chest, gaze to navel, as you reach out towards me, probably, if I'm in that place for you, and you're rounding through the spine, spinal flexion, tuck of the tail, head hangs heavy as you gaze down at your belly. Keep reaching, now creating space through the back of the body, closing the front of the body. Good. One more full round of breath. And as you're ready, release the grip, coming back to neutral. The right arm will lift up on an inhale and exhale to come into lateral bend. Left arm is down on the ground, and you can turn your head to gaze past the elbow. Staying heavy on the right hip, on the right sit bone, so we're not starting to lean over, getting off kilter with our weight distribution. Breathing into the small space between the rib bones. Good. One final inhale, and your exhale will bring that arm down. Next inhale, lift second side, and we come into the lateral bend. Deep and complete inhales and exhales. We're all muted, so just feel free to make breath noises, right? You'll notice if you have pets. I mean, I don't have a cat, so I don't know this about cats, but like, I know my dog sighs a lot, she yawns a lot, right? And I think we just have been socially conditioned to like not make noises when we breathe because it sort of would be strange or rude. One final inhalation. Exhale to bring the arm down, right? Sighing, right? Be a little weird if you're in an office and everyone's like sighing constantly. But it actually really facilitates the energy shift in the body. So feel free to do it here. See what it feels like. Let's take the left hand around to the outside of the right thigh and the right fingertips tent behind us. And we're in a gentle twist here. So as we do in our class, we're just bringing our spine through its ranges of motion before we ask ourselves to do anything too demanding. This would be similar, like a dynamic warm-up in before a workout where it's really nice to know, oh, got a little weird tweak happening, right? Isn't that nice to know before you grab a giant weight? So it helps us actually sort of plan for the workout, plan for the movement ahead. One final inhale. And exhale, through center to second side. Now our inhales naturally create length through the spine and height through the spine, right? So we can think about sort of like almost like a ballerina, right? How they are very long and tall, right? You can imagine that and they have amazing posture usually. So when you inhale, think about that length from tail to crown. And then as you exhale, that's when you deepen the posture, right? The inhale creates the space, and the exhale is when we move into that new space. Good. One final inhale here, wherever you are. And when your exhale comes, use it to come through center. Lovely. All right, let's get off the block, out of our seated position, and right into tabletop. Cool. So we're going to do a little bit of a different version of our thoracic spine movement. So let's send the left leg back, tuck the toe under, and let's bring some engagement into that back leg. So it's not just hanging out like a wet noodle with a bend in the knee. Straighten the knee, engage the quad, and engage the booty on that left side. Your right hand will come to the back of the head. And as you inhale, you're going to open your right chest up towards the sky, or maybe towards the sidewall. Look up towards the elbow. And then the exhale, the right elbow is going to touch the left arm. Yeah. And then inhale to open and exhale to come in, and just follow your breath here, moving through this twist. One more full round of breath. Inhale and exhale. And once you're through with that, bringing the arm down and the knee comes in. Let's do second side here. So the right leg reaches out, tuck toes, engagement through that right leg. Hand to the head on the left side. Inhale to open and exhale to close. Not rushing any part of this movement. Smooth and intentional. Full of air on the full expression of the inhale, and complete exhale, totally empty out at the bottom. Last round of breath. Beautiful. Hands come down. Nice. And let's do some arm circles here. So this seems kind of easy, but you can make it difficult by staying completely stock still through the rest of the body as the arm does its circle. So let's begin with the right arm. We're going to have thumb facing up. We're going to lift up as high as the arm can go. When it can lift no further, we open to the side, and then we flip again. The thumb is coming through, and that's one rotation. And you can just go at your own pace here. Your gaze will remain down, kind of like maybe at your thumb on the left hand. And I want you to think about keeping the spine totally still. So there's absolutely no rocking, waving through the body. Yeah, and you're going to feel burn through your supporting arm as well. Change directions. Pinkies lift back, out, and around. So big rotation. And you might be noticing some lactic acid buildup starting in the left arm. We're almost there. Building that shoulder stabilization and endurance. Last circle. Good. And sit back. Child's pose. Knees wide. Hips to heels or towards the heels. Resting your head down. Good. Lifting back up to your table position. And now we're going to rotate through the left shoulder. So thumb is up, leading that big sweeping. And again, if you notice that you're rushing at any point, try to smooth out the journey of your arm, right? If you feel like it's going over some bumps, that's okay, right? We're just doing our best. Noticing what's happening in the rest of the body. Totally still. This means that the core is on, the shoulder is stabilizing on the right side, and change direction, sweeping back, around, and forward. You might notice that you start to lean. Just bring that weight back into the left knee. One more full rotation. Lovely. And then sitting the hips back once again, letting the lactic acid diminish, and then we'll get going again. Nice. Returning to our tabletop position. We're going to do something similar with the low body here. So shoulder mobility and hip mobility is so important, not just for paddling, right? But just for life. So tuck the left toes under if you can. This is just going to offer a little bit more engagement and stability, but it's not the end of the world if you can't do that. It's okay. And then we're going to bend at that right knee as much as we can. So like you're trying to get your heel to your butt on the right leg. Okay. And let's begin a rotation through the right hip. So we're going to lift the knee up and back as high as it will go. And then the knee is going to point to the side. External rotation, drawing a half circle. It's going to end up around the right elbow, and then you sweep it back to neutral. So that's one circle. We lift up, open, around the elbow, and then back through center. And just follow your breath or just at your own smooth pace. Notice if you're significantly leaning to the left and place more weight in the right hand. Again, we shouldn't be moving the spine here. Try to lock the low back in particular in place by bracing your core and tuck your pelvis under as we do this. And that's going to ensure that this is isolating the hip. Switch directions, come towards the elbow, around, back, and down, right? So if you're having a lot of movement in your low back, it just kind of defeats the purpose because we're really trying to isolate that hip. Oh, it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, right? Good. Last rotation. Good. Bring the knee down, untuck both toes, take your right arm, thread the needle through, drop your head to the mat. Right. So it's interesting because we're doing the hips, right? But what you'll find is that the shoulders are working really hard to stabilize your body. So let that shoulder just relax. Take a few breaths. Nice. Pressing back up to your table. And let's change sides. So tucking toes on the right foot. Bend the left knee as much as it will bend. And let's begin. We're going to lift the knee up. It externally rotates, comes around to the elbow and back through center. Tuck your pelvis under like you are a scared puppy and try to maintain that pelvic tilt the entire time. That might mean that you don't have a huge range of motion. That's okay because you're working on it. Heavy through the left hand. If you can, you could even lift your right hand up. If there's so much weight in your right hand that you can't lift it, most likely you're not keeping your body in the center, right? There's probably a lot of moving going on. So just being able to lighten up that right hand. Switch directions here towards the elbow, around, up and down. Whoo! So challenging. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I find this very challenging. Good. One more big rotation here. One more to go. Bring it around. So nice. Now take the left hand, thread the needle, and drop the upper body right to the floor. Nice, pressing up back to table. And we're going to take the right here. I'll face you all. All right, let's take the right leg. We're going to send it 90 degrees to the side. Full foot down. So the bottom of my foot is down. It's not just the edge. I'm going to try to get the full bottom surface of my foot down. And then we're going to lift my upper body up so I'm stacked shoulders over hips. So we're looking for a general kind of a straight line, right? Straight. There's no straight lines in nature, right? But we just do our best. Shoulder, hip, and knee. If you need, and this is a little too much pressure on the knee, just go a little double up on that mat, and that should make a pretty good difference. On your inhale, we're going to lift the arm up and exhale, lateral bend. So you'll notice in our practice today, we have a special focus on the lateral bend. And as we worked on last class with that drop into the water at a positive angle, we were sort of mimicking that part of the stroke. We do that through a lateral bend, right? So that drop into the water, forward and down. Yeah, that's the range of motion we need. So we're going to spend some extra time really practicing what that means. So it means this is part of it, right? Yeah. And another thing that we're going to practice, we're not going to bring it in here, but also how do we laterally bend without shrugging the shoulder, right? Which is a skill, takes a little time, but we'll talk about that too. Nice, one final inhalation. Then exhale to come through center. And you might notice that I'm having you stay in these postures for a little while, right? And that's to build endurance in those muscles. Good, let's bring the opposite leg over, 90 degrees. Pressing up. Wonderful. Inhale, lift the arm. And exhale, lateral bend. So I promise I'm not just forgetting that we're here. And it's not that I find this easy either. I can feel the lactic acid buildup and that feeling of burning, right? But that feeling, we build endurance, right? I know Brett talks about this all the time in OST, right? We kind of ease up against that edge and we just gently nose the edge further and further down, or further up, I should say. So we can endure more intensity, right? So if we're starting to feel that burn, we should be excited, right? It's like, yeah, there it is. There's the edge. Let's see if I can just nose it along a little bit, right? And not every day is for PRing, right? It's not every day we can do that. We can just decide if you're feeling good, right? Then that's a great time. One final inhalation. Then we exhale to come through center, slowly come down, moving with intention. And good. Let's lengthen out our table just a little before we get into down dog. So about a palm length longer. And I'm going to have you tuck your toes and lift the hips up, keeping a bend in the knee and a heels off of the floor. So what we are doing is we are prioritizing the length of the spine here. So what we're going to do in this down dog, which is sort of fun, is doing some cat and cowing, okay? So we do cat and cows in a tabletop normally, but we're going to do that here. So on your inhalation, you're going to lift your hips, lift the gaze so you're looking kind of close to the top of the mat. Imagine extending the spine, and then exhale, tuck the tail under, chin to chest, and now you're going to gaze kind of like between the legs maybe, or down towards your belly. Inhale to extend, look out, and exhale to flex. And you might say, I'm like barely moving here. My spine doesn't want to extend. That's okay. That's why we're doing it. Make sure you've got a bend in your knees. That is required for this to work. When you extend your spine the next time and you're looking out at the top of the mat, really, really finding that extension. Good. Now I want you to just align your ears with your biceps and keep that extension in the spine and breathe. Now this is your down dog, hopefully every time, okay? So we're always prioritizing that active extension through the spine. Nice. On your inhalation, walk your feet all the way to your hands. Exhale as you arrive, forward fold. Inhale to rise through a flat back to stand, arms coming up and over the head. And exhale to Tadasana, arms by your side, standing at the top of the mat, feet underneath the hips, and arms by your sides. Wonderful. On an inhale, arms come up over the head. Nice. And hang out there for a sec. I'm just going to adjust my camera so everyone can see. All right. Interlacing all 10 fingers except the index. So your index fingers are reaching up towards the sky. Biceps next to ears. Good. And we're going to begin just a little swaying back and forth. Soften through the knees. Press your feet into the floor. We're going to come this way and that way, right? So just taking at your own pace. Nice. And feel what it feels like to move the hips as well. So as I point left, my hips go right. I point right, my hips go left, right? See what that feels like for you. Nice. Yeah. Good. Just a few more. Yeah, not any kind of extreme range of motion necessary here. Again, we're just giving a little extra attention to that lateral bending. Nice. Good. Back through center. Let go of the grip and a full forward fold down to the mat. Bend in the knees, please. And then high plank on an inhalation. And as you exhale, lower your knees, thighs, chest, belly, everything comes to the floor. Hug the elbows in. We're going to bring the arms down by the sides, thumbs down, pinkies up. And I'm going to have you squeeze your legs together, pointing through the toes. And on an inhalation, lift the chest, lift the arms, lift the legs. And we're in a locust, right? So we're in a back bend. I'm sorry if you can't see me. I adjusted my camera. But we're in a back bend here, gazing out in front. Squeeze the shoulder blades in and down, reaching the fingertips behind you. Lift the legs a little higher. Good. And then lower down on an exhalation. Nice and slow. Hands come under the shoulders. As you exhale, press through tabletop to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, please. Press the chest towards the thighs and find extension through the spine. Lovely. On your inhale, feet walk to the hands. Exhale as you arrive to forward fold. Inhale through flat back to rise to stand all the way up. Arms come over the head. And exhale to Tadasana, arms down by the sides. Nice. Shoulders roll back, soft knees, feet under hips. The inhale brings the arms back over the head. And the exhale sits the hips back into chair pose, okay? So we can think about this almost as kind of a version of a wall sit. But we're going to be focusing on the upper body. What we talked about a lot last time, come a little closer here, was the position of the shoulders and the shoulder blades. So you can imagine wrapping your pinkies inward towards each other. And what that does is it externally rotates your shoulder joint, right? Yeah. Cool. So then we have this arms over the head, but I'm not shrugging my shoulders up. I'm able to maintain neutral shoulders, nice and packed down in the rotator cuff, nice and safe. Inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, full forward fold. Inhale to high plank. And exhale to lower all the way down to the mat. Good. Stay right here. Arms by your sides. Bring the inner thighs together. Point the toes. And on an inhalation, lift the legs, lift the chest, lift the arms. We are back in locust. I want you to squeeze your bum. Those buns are tight towards each other. Shoulder blades in and down. Long neck. Extension through the back body. Point the toes. Lift the thighs. And exhale, lowering down, bringing the hands underneath the shoulders. When your exhale comes, press back to downward facing dog. Well done. Every time we come into that down dog, a bend in the knee, prioritizing that length and extension through the spine. On your next inhalation, walk your feet all the way to your hands. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand tall through your flat back, arms come over the head. And exhale, Tadasana, arms down by your sides. Ooh, inhale, arms lift. Exhale, sit into your chair. Practicing, can I have my arms over my head without shrugging my shoulders? It is a practice. Do your best. Wrapping those pinkies inward. Think about shoulder blades sliding down. Good. Now reach the arms out in front. Inhale here. As you exhale, reach the right arm behind you and the gaze follows. Inhale, center. Exhale, second side. Inhale, center. Exhale, second side. Good. And you'll notice I'm not bending my knees very much, right? So just do what you need to do to stay in this position. You might need to stand up for a second, come back. But what I don't want is as you twist the upper body, I don't want your low body to move at all. So from the hips down, you are still. Good. Last one. And on your inhale, arms Lift, legs straighten. Exhale, full forward fold. Inhale to your plank. Exhale to lower all the way down. This is our last time doing our locust. Arms by your side. Squeezing out the thighs together, feet together, point the toes, and on an inhalation, lift the legs, lift the chest, lift the arms, squeezing the bum, full extension through the back body. Good, creating this kind of almost like a banana shape, right? Good, keep pointing the toes, lift the legs, lift the chest, reach with the fingers. Beautiful, final inhale. As you exhale, lower the forehead, hands under the shoulders, press into child's pose, hips to heels, knees wide, and resting here. Good, lifting back into your table. All right, and then we're gonna bring ourselves into a low lunge position. So let's start first bringing the left leg forward. And the left foot is basically just gonna replace the left hand. And we're gonna come up into a half kneel. Just bring my screen down a little bit. There we go. Good, and we're gonna play around with our stroke mechanics. And again, this isn't about getting anything perfect. It's just about being able to look through a little different lens about what's happening when you're in the boat without the distraction of the water, people around you, right? Waves, we're drifting, whatever the case may be. So if it's okay for your knee, and you can always double up your mat here, please tuck the back toes under. And what this does, it just allows us to squeeze our tush a little better when we have the toes tucked. It's not a huge deal though. If it doesn't work for you, it's okay. So we're gonna play around with that idea of the lateral bend, getting us into the catch at a positive angle. So we can start in our set position. We're at pretend like the water's on the right side of our body. So our set position is a slight lean forward, like a 10%, I think it is, like angle. I'm not very good at percents. Shoulders square and hips are square, right? So this should be relatively comfortable. And now let's get into our hovering right above the water. So this is going to be where we would be if we were just about to put the blade into the water, right? So oftentimes what happens here is people max out their range before they go in the water, and that's a mistake. Because if you max out your range, you will go in at a negative angle, right? So we want to leave a little bit of ability to move forward. Cool. So we're just going to dip, we're going to quote unquote dip the blade in. And I want you to think about doing this by twisting and laterally bending on the left side. So we're going to dip in and out and in and out. And can you imagine that blade positive angle dip, out, positive angle dip, and out. So it's this combination of leaning over lateral bend and twist, right? And moving forward, right? There are three things happening here. Dip and out. One more time. Dip and out. Relax. Really nice. Yeah. Woo! Not easy, right? Let's change sides and see what happens on the other side. We're going to go through this twice. For the first time, we're just really focusing on like what needs to happen for me to move forward into the water, like what needs to happen within the body. So we're just focusing on that for now, just kind of general. Let's get into our set position. Good. Extend. All right. Left side is definitely not going to be easy for me. Okay, here we go. We're going to dip and come up. Now your hips can move, my friends. So in order for me to actually slide that paddle in a positive angle, I've got to move my right hip back. It's the only way. Good, few more. Dip. Good, don't forget to breathe. If this top arm starts to drop, Try to bring it back up into that position that you imagine, you know, is pretty accurate. Dip, out. Last time here, dip, and up. Nice, and shake it out. I'm gonna, we're gonna take just a tiny break here because I really hope this is resonating with people. Zoom is hard. I just feel like I can't really see you. Would somebody be willing to share, unmute yourself and just share how that's feeling, if it's making sense, or if anyone has any questions about it? No one's making any moves. Okay, if no one comes up, I'm just gonna assume that it's going great and nobody has any questions with it. And everyone's like, I completely understand what's happening. Thank you, it's amazing. All right, cool. Yes, hi, Donna.
I think it's the best new thing I've learned.
All right, well, that's much better than I thought. Okay, great. Thank you, Donna. Well, I really appreciate that. It's just hard. I appreciate that. I'm going to mute you again real quick so we can move on. But yeah, it's just tough sometimes with Zoom because I don't get any feedback. And I'm like, I just hope everyone is following along. Okay, so that's great to hear. Thank you. It means I'm explaining it well and everyone is understanding. Okay, Neato Burrito. So we're going to do that one more time. Yes, we've got time. But the focus is going to be a little different. So the focus is going to be on the inside arm. And I'm going to turn around so you can see what I'm talking about here. And hopefully I'll do some good what to do, what not to do kind of things here. I'm not going to be able to see myself, but so one really important thing to understand is that inside arm, because this is where a lot of injury happens, right? On that inside arm. And we're going to talk about why and the skills that we're building here that could help with that. So if I'm in my set position, I'm slightly leaned forward. You can see my shoulder, hopefully, I hope I'm demoing well. My shoulders and hips are square. And then I'm going to come into extension. Now I'm going to do it wrong here, okay? I'm going to do it not wrong, but you know what I mean. I'm not trying to judge anybody, but I'm just going to show you what it looks like if I were to coach someone, okay? So here I am. Okay, so you can see that I've got lots of length, okay, here. My shoulder blade on my left side is lifted. My shoulder is elevated, right? It's shrugging to the point where it's actually touching my arm, right? Now, this is hard because a lot of times they get your top arm out over the water. Like, so for a lot of people, they're like, how the hell am I supposed to do that, right? So they feel like they need to get over this far. So what we're going to practice here when we do our dips is we're going to practice this. We're going to practice external rotation. Okay, so if I can't get my top hand over the water doing this, how do I do it? Oh my God, it's the lateral bend. There it is. Right? So you might say like, well, without this, I can't get over, right? But this is where we're going to take, how do we get into that position? It's the lateral bend. So my shoulder is staying down. It's safe, right? It's in its little safety pocket in the rotator cuff, and I'm here. And the reason that people don't do that is because it's freaking hard. Okay? It's really hard on the core. It's going to take more energy, but it will save you injury to learn how to do this using the right muscles. Okay, lecture over. Let's get into it. I think we started left foot forward, right leg back. We're going to set. We're going to get into extension, not maxing out, right? Because we still need to dip and hover. Okay, go ahead with that. Just dipping and hovering. Dip, pull the blade out, hover in that extension. Okay, now, if you're getting that forward momentum into the water, quote unquote, let's see what's happening with that top arm. Can we drop that shoulder out of the ear and get to the water through that lateral bend? Can we get to the water without shrugging the shoulder? And you can look at that top hand. Is it way over here on your left side? Can you get it over the water without the shoulder elevating and touching you or getting close to your ear? Good. One more dip. And up and relax. Okay, second side. And of course, we all have stronger sides, y'all, right? Like, so if, like for me, the left is just like hilarious. I just Oh my gosh. I do paddle on the left, but whew, okay, here we go. Not as much as the right. All right, so we set, extend. Remember, hips are moving here, y'all. Hips are moving. And then let's do our dip. Oh God. So for me, part of it is that my right side is tighter, right? So it's actually harder for me to laterally bend. There's more of a risk for me with my right shoulder to just get it up near my ear, right? To lose that retraction, right? This is definitely, ooh, a little harder. Good. Dip, positive angle, lateral bend, twist, and rotate. 2 more dips on this side. Last one. Ah, it's really tough. Oh my goodness, not easy stuff. Well done. Let's bring it back. And that used up a lot of our time for dynamic movement. So we are going to get into some passive stretching here. Let's sit down either on a block, something where we can sit relatively comfortably. We're going to do one final stretch for the upper body that is that's really a good one. So let's bring the right arm up, and then we're going to bend the elbow so that we're touching ourselves at our upper back. The opposite hand is going to take this elbow and gently encourage it back. Okay, I'm going to try to stay really tall here. So if I'm like really starting to curl forward, think about extension and length. Good. Press the back of your head into the forearm so you're not dropping your chin if you can. Good. And then breathe. Yeah, part of longevity, of course, is not just strength, but also proper biomechanics so we can avoid injury. Because when we injure ourselves, we can't work out, we lose strength, right? So it's all kind of symbiotic. Good. Release the hand on top first, and then slowly release the elbow down. A little shake and change sides. I think one of the most challenging parts for me of practicing, you know, quote, like improved form with my stroke is that I feel that I lose range, and that scares me, right? I'm like, oh, but if I do it this way, I can't reach out as far with my paddle, you know? But the thing is that it's kind of an illusion if I'm reaching out with not proper biomechanics, because I don't have as much power going through that water. So it's sort of like, okay, yeah, I have more water to pull through, but I'm not pulling as fiercely with as much strength. So even though, good, release the upper hand. Good. And we'll bring the opposite arm around. Ooh, good one. I did just do a lot of upper body yesterday, so this might just be feeling good for me. But man, are these some good stretches. So yeah, so the way I try to think about it is yes, I'm pulling through less water, but I am able to bring so much more energy to my stroke that is what is going to bring that boat forward. But yeah, it's just sometimes it's a little bit of an ego thing, you know, especially because we do so much review. It's not so much like this anymore, but I know when we were few years ago when I first started, good, switch sides, there was a lot of like, when we would do video review, it was kind of the person that had like the longest like kind of stroke that got all of this really positive attention. And I think as we as coaches all educate ourselves more on the biomechanics and kind of the evolution of the sport, now we're starting to say, wait a minute, like maybe a tighter, more compact stroke isn't just more safe, right? Safer, more accessible, but also could it even be that it has much more power to it too? So yeah, that's the cool thing. It's evolving. Nice release. Oh yeah, that was nice. Okay, let's come right back down onto our backs. And we always got to get a little hip opener here. So we're going to bring right ankle to the top of the thigh on the left side. Now you can either stay here with a gentle press into the knee maybe, and that might be satisfying for you. If you want a little deeper stretch, clasping your hands behind the left hamstring and hugging the legs towards you. Okay, so you feel satisfied on that side, slowly switch. Good. Unwind the legs. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together and then let the knees fall out to the sides, like call this kind of like a butterfly. And then the arms can come into like a capital Y kind of position over the head. And we're not trying to press the knees down or anything, just allow gravity to do some work for you. And your job is just to send breath to areas of tension or intense sensation. Releasing resistance with every exhale. Good. Bring the hands down outside the thighs to help the knees in. We're going to bring the feet wide, so at least as wide as the edge of the mat, and then allow the knees to fall to the right side. Good. And both the shoulder blades will stay down here. So the shoulder blades are down. We're not lifting the left shoulder blade, but we want to be really heavy through the legs. And if that means slide, like the ankles kind of slide down a little, whatever, just let the legs settle and release effort. So do not put any physical effort into this posture. Just let it kind of, the cookie crumble where it crumbles. Good. Slow transition, lift the knees come through center, and then simply allow the knees to come to the second side. Nice, back through center. Final little hug in of the knees. Knees hug in, either narrow or wide, and a little rocking side to side, little massage for the low back. Nice, and then rolling up into a seated position. We just check the time here. Cool, yeah, so we have time for just a brief finishing meditation. And really we think about the meditations as sort of the bookends of our practice, where when we first start class, we might feel a lot of like fidgetiness, impatience, not wanting to be meditating, right? All of those things, which are really normal. And then the meditation at the end of class is simply to notice the changes or shifts that may have occurred either energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually from the beginning of class until now. So we take about 2 minutes of just silent observation of your inner landscape. If you feel your mind start to wander, focus on your breath, right? That's your anchor into the present. You can close your eyes, lift up through the spine, shoulders relaxed, finding the breath and staying with it for the next 2 minutes. Bringing hands together, pressing your thumbs to your heart, drop your chin down to your chest, extending gratitude to yourself for choosing your practice today, right? Every time we choose these activities, right? Exercise, yoga, all these self-care activities that we have, it's really not a small thing. There's always so many other things on our to-do list. So the fact that you chose to come here, be here for your practice today is not a small thing. Open the eyes and lift the gaze. I end my practices with Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It means peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much for being here. And
Thank
a
you.
little more bendy.
Thank you. That was